check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What's up, what's down, what's going on around? This is Startup Taiwan, Foreigner's Business Guide. I'm Paulo Leasing, founder at MillionDC.com. This YouTube channel and podcast are offshoot of my book, Startup Taiwan, Foreigner's Business Guide. This channel will find answers to your questions about starting a business in Taiwan. Enough about me, let me introduce our guest, Eddy Gonzalez from Canada. Eddy is a restaurateur in Taiwan for more than 10 years. He has been running Eddy's Cantina, which is now at prime location in Taipei, starting off as a humble food stand in Dansui. Eddy also runs his weekly podcast and YouTube channel, Eddy Live, where he interviews mostly foreigners in Taiwan live at his restaurant. Before this, Eddy has been running startups within the import-export industry. He used to teach English in Taiwan as one of his early jobs as a foreigner. He was also a coach for soccer at different high schools in Taipei. Eddy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Appreciate it.
First question, how did you get to Taiwan? What brought you here?
So ever since I was a kid in school, when we were learning about the continents, I always wanted to come to Asia, right? Because it's the biggest, right? And I thought, my family's from Mexico, immigrated to Canada, and I thought I would love to come to Asia. And I always had this in the back of my mind. And I had the opportunity, a good friend of mine had come to Taiwan, and he taught English in Taichung. And for me, I had just finished, I was going to be a police officer in Canada, RCMP. I wanted to do that. And I went through the school and all the tests and everything, passed everything, got all the way to the final interview. And I was 21. They told me that you're too young, you don't have life experience, you need to get some and then reapply. And I said, well, what's the process for reapplying? And they said, well, you got to wait 2 years. So I had 2 years. So I was doing that, and I was coaching soccer. So I was doing well with soccer. And then when I was wrapping that up, I thought, I'm gonna go to Asia. I'm gonna go check it out. I looked at Japan, Korea, Taiwan, China, and I figured Taiwan is a tropical island. One of the main things was it doesn't snow, because where I live it snows a lot, and I was just done with the snow. And I thought, I'm gonna come here, maybe learn some Chinese, stay for a couple years, and then I'll go back and reapply for the RCMP.
Okay, let's talk about your early days in Taiwan.
Sure.
I think you've been here for quite some time, 18 years.
18 years or so, yeah.
How was it back then? What's the foreigner scenario in Taiwan?
There was definitely a lot less foreigners at that time. And I came here, I was teaching English. I really enjoyed that. I was teaching, my favorite was actually kindergarten. I loved the really young kids. I had a lot of experience from that because in Canada I was coaching soccer, right? So in Canada I coached soccer. I came here, I taught English, and then I also did my own little soccer school here at the beginning as well. I did that for, I would say, maybe 8 years or so, which was, it was pretty good. It overlapped with the restaurant a little bit. It was good. I enjoyed that. Those were the main things that I was doing. And I think the soccer training with the little kids helped with teaching English a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess what I was trying to get into is that how is it in terms of being able to survive in Taiwan as a foreigner? Because I know for a fact that you can't just come in here and live here unless, maybe for you because you basically are from Canada, you have a lot of leeway to stay for like 60 days, 90 days.
Yes.
But how is it for foreigners back then?
So at that time, when I came here, a school was hiring me. Like that was the main thing. So I came in, the school took care of me. They did the ARC. I worked at this one school for 2 years. So that was good. That helped me a lot. Eventually, you realize that those are the situations they're good to kind of get your foot in the door, but you find a lot of better opportunities outside when you're actually here, right?
Correct.
So I was here. School was pretty good. I stayed with the same group of kids for 2 years, and those kids were awesome. I mean, their English was fantastic. I hung out with them in free time. It was a pretty cool time in my life. And the pay was pretty good as well. So for me, being like 23-ish, I came here. It was like my first job where it was like actually decent pay. Like back home, I was working and stuff, but it wasn't really like huge pay. It was just like I was able to do whatever I wanted at the time. So I was like, hey, this is great. I'm staying. Yeah, it was a good spot for sure.
And this is all by yourself, right? You came here just by yourself.
I came by myself because I wanted to. So after my sister finished high school, she went back to Mexico for a year, and she kind of like perfected her Spanish and stuff like that. And I had that. I was going to do that as well. But I thought I really wanted to come out here. I wanted to do something different. I found that my parents made a really big move in coming from Mexico to Canada. They were probably about 18-ish when they moved to Canada. And I admired that. And I thought I really want to do something like that. One of my really best friends was a Taiwanese guy, Taiwanese Canadian, and I just had a really good relationship with him. So I thought I would like to come out to Taiwan. Again, tropical island. I'd probably come for 1-2 years, I thought. And I came I'm still here. So it's been 18, I'm almost at 20 years, and that's almost like half my life. So it's pretty crazy, yeah.
The episode for today is centered about starting a business, specifically food business.
Yep.
Could you recall how was it when you were starting? What were the steps back then?
So back then, I think it was easier. I don't know if it was easier. So for me, I got married. My wife is Taiwanese, and she wanted to open something like a coffee shop. And I told her that, again, I probably told you the story already, but I can't do, like, I like coffee, but I'm not the kind of guy that needs a coffee every day. I'm not a coffee connoisseur. So I said, well, my family's Mexican, you know them, you know the food. If we can do the food, let's try that instead, because that for me is more real. There's more passion there. So we looked into the laws, and at that time, because I was married to a Taiwanese, we found a location. We actually started in a night market. We did that, and that was, we went into the night market. We found a guy, and he's like, there's your spot. You got to take it now and, give your deposit tomorrow. And we weren't ready, but we paid, and we said, okay, let's make it happen. Then we found an accountant, and the accountant kind of helped us a lot with sort of that process. We actually went to a government office at that time. This was 14, 15 years ago in Dansui. Went to the government office, and we're like, okay, we need to register our business. So he pulls out the paper. He's like, okay, what kind of business? Oh, food business. He's like, okay. So chatting with us, and he's like, what's the address? And I said, we're in Dansui. And this was in Dansui, in the Dansui government office. And I said, yeah, Dansui. I told him the address, and he's like, oh, it's just up here, up the street, right? And I said, yeah. And he's like, oh, psh, and he puts the paper away. He's like, man, you don't need it. Don't worry about it. And I'm just like, what? I need a business license, man, because we have a business. Because in Canada, of course, that's not possible, right? Mm-hmm. So at that time, I told them, we want to get it, and we really had to push. We really had to push to be like, no, we want to be legal. So I think doing it legally is the best way, because once in a while somebody's going to complain, and then someone's going to check on you. Maybe Taiwan's been a great place. Once in a while you'll have some weird neighbors, and if they complain and you don't have your papers in order, then it's not good. Yeah, and it's a fairly easy process. My recommendation is an accountant. Hire an accountant. An accountant can take care of all the steps, and we have a great accountant. If you guys need, if anybody here needs an accountant, you let me know, and I'll introduce you, because he's fantastic. Yeah.
The way I understand is food business, specifically if you just want to put up like a cart, all you need to do, for example, behind Space 21 is actually a night market, Ningxia night market.
Yeah.
All you need, and correct me if I'm wrong, all you need to do is find the chief, the person who's in charge of the whole night market area, and enlist basically your business as one of the stalls. And then if there is an open stall, then basically they give it to you, and then they list you under that whole block of food businesses.
See, that sounds great, actually. That sounds really organized. For me, when we were in the Dansui Old Street, we had no idea how to do it. So we were walking up and down the street, and there was a lady selling this Thai milk tea. Mm-hmm. And we would always get a Thai milk tea and, walk. We lived in Danshui. Danshui is beautiful. So we'd go there, we'd get our drink, and we told her, how do you get this spot? you know, like, how do you do this? And she said, in Dansui, the person who owns the building kind of owns the little piece of land in the front, right? And it just so happened to be at that location, the guy next was selling sausages. And the sausage guy actually owned the building. So he kind of owned that piece of land. And she said, this is the guy. And I said, hey, how's it going? You know, and he's like, yeah, she's actually done at the end of this month and she's not going to renew her contract. So if you guys want it, pay your deposit.
In terms of cost, how much did it cost you to put up your first food cart?
I'll tell you exactly what it was. So for Dansui Old Street, we had our one ping. I don't know if you ever go to Dansui, but it's kind of I think it's called Gongmingjie. It's like the middle part. Mm-hmm. So when you go out to like the Dansui Old Street, there's like the riverside, and then there's like the kind of the street side, and then there's that crazy middle piece, right?
Correct.
So we were in there, like right in the middle of that middle piece, where it's crazy in there. And that was, our one ping was 33,000 a month.
This was 18 years ago?
15 years ago.
15 years ago,
yeah.
And I would imagine
it's more now. Yeah, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah.
So 33,000, which is like 1,100 US, and nothing's included, right? You have your one ping. They included electricity because we used so little electricity, and they had a little bit of storage for our food in their fridge, but that was it. So we did that, and a friend of mine who's a really good friend, he was a restaurant guy as well, and so he introduced us to basically what we call Restaurant Street, which is in Ximending. Mm-hmm. If you go down to Ximending, the movie theater street, behind that there's a street called Huanhe North Road. Mm-hmm. So Huanhe North Road it's basically like half restaurant street and half restaurant graveyard, right? So you go there, you can buy brand new equipment, you can buy secondhand equipment, you can buy almost anything you need to open a stand or a restaurant in Taiwan. So that's where we went. We got our stand there. Our stand was about 10 or 12,000 NT, and then we got it customized to where we could have a container with beans and rice. And then we had another little table over there that was maybe 3,000 or 4,000 NT. We had a little iron griddle, a tiny little iron griddle. It's like a slab of iron on an element. And that was I would say another 5,000 NT. So it was actually really cheap. The equipment was really cheap. And the killer was the rent. The rent was pretty high. But to be in a market, usually in theory, markets are always busy. Mm-hmm. So rent is going to be high. But it can be worth it if you're flipping burgers, you're flipping tacos or whatever it is, and you got low cost and good profit, yeah. And
15 years later, you're now at a prime location in Taiwan.
Yes.
With 2 branches.
Yeah, so we did have 2. We about a year ago, we closed one of them. Mm-hmm. So right now, we just have the one.
Okay.
We kind of consolidated about... it wasn't really planned, but it was about a month before the whole COVID thing happened. Okay. My wife and I, we were running 2. Things were going really well. Both were in profit, but we were working a lot, and we were spending not that much time with my daughter. And my kids grow up quick, so I took my daughter and my wife. We went for dinner, and I said, "Look, I know a guy who is looking for a location here. So the little location, maybe I'll talk to him. If he wants to take it, I'm gonna sell it to him." And I had a coffee with this guy, and he's like, "I love that location." And I told him this location is fantastic. Rent is low. Everything's great. There are 1 or 2 neighbors that are, how can I put it? Not fantastic. So these 2 people, they complain a lot, almost every day. So they would call the police almost every day. Even, the cops would come in at one point, just being like, let's say it'd be like just empty. Mm-hmm. They would still call. The cops would come, and I'd be like, "Have a look, man. It's empty. We've been empty all day today." And the cops were like, "I know, but we have to come if they call." So I don't know if that must be the law. So if they call, they have to come. And so they just come in, and the cops were super polite. Everyone's super polite. But you've got these 2 neighbors that are just, I don't know, oddballs, I guess. So that's a pretty common thing, though, in Taiwan. Yeah. So you have not great neighbors usually, but right now at our current location, one of the reasons we kept that one, that was the bigger one, we invested more and never had a neighbor problem there. So that's a big piece. So this guy was interested. He's doing well there. It's called Divino. It's a great restaurant, and they're doing super well. Yeah, and we had to talk a few times about neighbors, and he's like, yeah, wow, the neighbors are special.
All right.
Yeah, but they're doing well. They're doing well in there. Yeah.
But we are more than a year within the COVID period, and it looks like, as you just mentioned before this interview, your restaurant is fully booked. What's the staying power of this kind of business, at least for you?
For me, what happened with me was, I think it was a lot of mindset, because for me, I had the idea, like, I always had that safety net to go back to, like, I can go back and coach soccer and make pretty good money. I can go back and teach English and make pretty good money. So I always had that in the back of my mind. And I thought, if everything goes to hell, and it's still, if everything went to hell now, I could do that. But there was a time where I said, no, I'm gonna make this work, sink or swim, burn the boats. I'm gonna make it work. It's like, you have to do it, or I'm gonna friggin' die trying, because I have to make this work. And there was another Mexican restaurant a long time ago. He was looking to expand, and he went to our location, our previous, not the current one, but the previous Tianmu location. And we were ready, like, it had been maybe 8 years, and we were just like, from Dansui to then, and we were still like broke, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have a kid now, we need to make some money. And we said, okay, let's just get rid of it. So this guy came, he offered us, I think we asked for like $1 million, because we were like, I don't know what it cost, I don't know, $1 million sounds good. And he lowballed us so bad. I think he offered like less than half, and effectively he would have been able to buy out the competition, and we would have been gone, and we were doing well, but it's it's hard to run a business. So he lowballed us really badly, that I thought that, you know what, I'm going down. I'm gonna go down with this ship. I'm gonna make sure this thing works, or I'm gonna die trying. That's it, I have to make it work. And so from then on, we had that extra like flame, under our butts, that was just like, we have to make it work. I need to learn Facebook ads. I need to learn Instagram ads. I need to learn marketing, like really marketing specific restaurant stuff. I need to learn everything, and to make sure this place is full.
There must be.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Sorry, there must be something that you have done. So that during the COVID-19, at least the height of it, last year, you were still able to get some customers, because a lot of people just wanted to eat home.
Sure, for sure. Yeah.
But you're still here, and
So what I would say is, like I said, we closed one restaurant before, like about a month before COVID, and then COVID came, and we only had one. So we kind of had 2 restaurants worth of people coming to one, and then COVID came, and definitely everyone got hit with COVID. We did a lot of delivery, like I was driving on the scooter. We were doing lots of deliveries. We actually started to create our own delivery platform. We used Uber Eats. We have a Food Panda. Our own one it's done, but it's just, but people would just call us and say, hey, can you deliver this? And I'd be like, yeah, we can deliver it. Let's go. So I delivered. I had some staff that were, just hanging out. They had scooters, and we're like, okay, we'll give you an extra 100 NT or whatever if you deliver this to Beito or to Tianmu, wherever. So we did a lot of deliveries ourselves. I think one of the changing points was I really learned back in the day the Facebook ads, and I would take a lot of Facebook ads courses that were not restaurant specific. They were like list building and stuff like that, and I applied that to the restaurant, which not many people have done, because I think if you talk to a restaurant owner and ask him, how big his email list is, he probably most won't even know what you're talking about, right? Because it's something that's like almost like a digital marketing thing that we applied to the restaurant, and we did it for a while, and people just kept coming back, and people liked it. Lots of delivery, lots of promotions. Things like we did the podcast, like we have our own podcast. We do it on Wednesday. Wednesday used to be the slowest day of the week. And now I'm have to move it to another day, because Wednesday's full, and I'm like turning people away on Wednesdays. So I think you really have to get creative, and you really have to try new things. and don't be afraid, I think. Yeah.
Is it, correct me if I'm wrong, like,
Sure.
for sure in the US and even in the Philippines, it's hard to open like a restaurant because you get food authorities watching you, like at least inspecting you every now and then.
Yeah.
How's the Taiwan case?
In Taiwan, they do come and inspect you. Usually in Taiwan, they'll inspect you when someone reports you. But like I said, our neighbors were our best friends, so they reported us for everything. We had fire department come, we've had sanitary, we've had pretty much everything come and inspect us, and they will always come and inspect. But I think when you're new and you're kind of under the radar a little bit, I think it's a little bit easier to get into. Like in Canada, for example, there's so much red tape that people are saying, come back to Canada, open one in Canada. But I thought, oh my gosh, that's gonna be a lot of red tape to even get open. And one of the other things is there's always gonna be new things that are surprising. Like you say, okay, here's my budget to open my restaurant. There's always gonna be something else that's hidden, like a fridge is gonna break down, or health and labor insurance, or just your staff drops all the chicken breast all over the floor or something like that, and you can't use it, right? So there's a lot of accidents and things that happen that you don't really know about. So you can open a restaurant or a stand or a stall or just a tiny little eatery with not that much, but you have to have a little bit of padding, because that's why I think a lot of places, they open up and a lot of them shut down pretty quick. Yeah.
In terms of regulations, is there anything that a future restaurant owner with your scale, like a big restaurant, should watch out for?
Regulations wise, definitely you have to have all your paperwork done. When you get like what I'm saying is, I started really small, right? But when you have a big restaurant like mine is, for me, I mean, it's not the biggest, but for me, it's like an 80-seater. It's as big as I would ever want to make a restaurant, because quality is now we're okay, but it was tough to upscale like that. And I think that with this kind, you're on the main road, and people will see you. So you have to have all the paperwork done if you're going to do like a main road place. For sure. If you're gonna do mom and pop in the alley, you could probably get away with a little bit more, but I recommend to do it all, do the paperwork anyway. It's not expensive to get a restaurant license, and the best way is to have an accountant to do everything, because once in a while you'll have some government paper come in, and if you take care of it yourself, it's pretty stressful, because we don't know all of the government laws on every single topic, right?
Correct.
But an accountant does, that's his job. So we have a really good accountant. Anytime anything goes down, we call him up, we're like, Kevin, we need to see you. So we go, we bring the papers, and he's like, okay, this is a common thing, it's just a checkup or something like that. And it helps us a lot. So my advice is get a good accountant, and I have a great one right now. He speaks perfect English, he's Taiwanese, and he's got a good connection. His family is an accounting business in the States and in Taiwan, so he knows both laws really well. So it's especially useful for Americans.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned this earlier, that you actually started dabbling into like food delivery, starting with you yourself delivering and asking some of your staff. And we all know that the trend right now is really food delivery. Have you made any like concrete plan or investments towards making your delivery like streamlined?
Sure, yeah. So we do use Foodpanda and Uber Eats. There's another one in Tianmu called Yo, which is good. We actually, like I said, I hired a guy to create the whole platform for us. So we have our own platform. And it's looking good, and my idea is I actually want to offer it to other restaurants, because Uber Eats, in that, most people don't know, but the fees are very high. So when you order something from Uber Eats and you look at like the regular menu of a restaurant, the price is going to be substantially higher on Uber Eats, because they take their fee, right? And their fee is very high. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess. So I guess one of the lessons from you is that you have studied how to do some sort of digital marketing.
Yes.
Because this is the strength of having Uber and Food Panda. They're everywhere basically.
Yes, everywhere for sure.
But you also need to, if you want to avoid these high fees of Uber Eats and Food Panda, you must be targeting your customers through digital, right?
Sure, for sure.
You should be present.
Yes.
And at the same time, you should have your own staff like for delivery.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, what we do is, with the restaurant really busy, we don't do it as much. But if someone pre-orders, then for sure. Like if someone calls us like tonight, Saturday night, and says, hey, I need, 50 tacos in an hour, and the restaurant's full, it's gonna be tough. We have to tell them, you gotta give us a little bit more notice. But if it's like a Monday or it's a slow night, and someone's like, hey, can you deliver 6 burritos up the road? Yeah, we for sure do it, yeah. But I think like you were saying with the digital marketing, that was huge. That's huge for us. Yeah, for sure.
How is Taiwan in general as far as Mexican food is concerned? Is it popular, or do you get more foreigners or Taiwanese customers?
So when we started, there were 2 Mexican restaurants, Taiwanese Mexican restaurants before us.
Taiwanese.
And they were Taiwanese owned, and the food, it was really catered towards the locals. Like it was like fried rice and stuff like that. It was really Taiwanese. And we opened, and we kind of, I'd like to think we kind of raised the bar a bit. And those 2 are no longer around, so we're kind of the longest running one now. But again, when we started, there was almost no knowledge of it. People would say, hey, yeah, I've had Mexican food before. And I'm like, wow, really, where? And they would say KFC. And I'm just like, wow, this is what we've dealt with. So from then till now, there's been a lot of education. And what we try to do is we try to make it really sustainable. So all of our ingredients are local, like the meats and not the beef, because the beef is from New Zealand, right? But everything else is local. All the vegetables we use are local. Even the corn to grind our own tortillas are local. Everything's from here. So we try to make Mexican food with all the fresh local ingredients, and we try to make it appealing for everybody. In the beginning, definitely, mostly, I would say American, Western, mostly. But then Taiwanese would come in, and if we had items that they would like a fish tacos for sure, nachos, enchiladas, stuff like that, they love that. Most people like that. But if Taiwanese would come in and they would have something like refried beans on their first visit, Taiwanese eat their beans sweet. So we eat ours like salty and garlicky and savory, basically. So when they would try that for the first time, it'd be like 50-50, right? And 50-50 is not good. It's not a good number for the restaurant business.
Correct.
Yeah. So we try to make sure when someone comes in, we take care of them. We give them some good food. We have a lot of customers that have been coming for years, and they're happy because the food comes in, it's fresh. They don't get a stomach ache. Like a lot of people think Mexican food is like just super greasy, and a lot of it, there's a lot of places that do serve it that way, but we serve ours really fresh. And I mean, like stuff that I would eat, that I do eat, the same stuff that I feed my family, I feed my daughter, my wife. We all eat. It's fresh. Everything's very fresh. So ours is not like, it's pretty traditional. Like it's as traditional as you can get with the local ingredients, but we never say things like authentic, because everyone has a different idea of the word authentic. Like if I say authentic Filipino food, your mom and one of my good buddies back home, his mom, who's also Filipino, their food is gonna be different.
Correct.
Right? So he's gonna say my mom's is authentic, you're gonna say my mom's is authentic. And then if you try something different, they'd be like, oh, they said it was authentic. It's not authentic. So we actually removed authentic from our marketing years ago, because everyone, like for me, like I love Italian food. When I was a kid, I loved Chef Boyardee canned raviolis when I was this little kid. Yeah, I'd open them up and I had a really good, and they're not great, but as a kid, it's like macaroni and cheese from the box. So you get that, and then you go to a restaurant and you order ravioli, and you think you're getting that crappy canned stuff, but it's actually good, and you try it and you're like, oh, this doesn't taste right, because that's what you're used to, right?
Correct.
So things like authentic are words that we removed a long time ago. Because everyone has a different idea of the word, for sure.
Let's talk about Eddy Live. So as many people know, you also have your own YouTube channel and podcast.
I do, yeah.
What's the reasoning behind this? You interview a lot of foreigners. I was interviewed first.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
Before I interviewed you.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was a good discussion while enjoying food.
Yes, for sure.
What's your thinking behind this channel?
So for that, it's something that I've always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. All good, yeah?
Yes.
Something that I've always wanted to do because I love podcasts. I love Joe Rogan. Okay. There's a couple food podcasts, like hot ones, that I really enjoy. And I always meet so many great people with the restaurant. Mm-hmm. Like people from all over the world working on different projects, really cool stuff. And I'll sit there, they're having a beer, and I'm kind of behind the bar and I'm chatting with them. And they're telling me these stories. And some of the stories that I hear are just like, they're incredible. It's like, what? This is amazing. And so I always thought, I wish I could have recorded that moment. Mm-hmm. So I thought, this guy should go on Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan's show is amazing, right? But Joe Rogan is like the top, right? He's like the best, probably, I don't know what to say the best, but my favorite podcaster, at least. And so he's podcasts like for almost every day, every couple of days, and he's got like super high celebrities and stuff like that. So the people that I am meeting, they're also, for me, fantastic. And I think their stories are great, and I just want to share those stories. And I think, let's try it out for a couple years, see how it goes. And it's definitely tough to start a new one. Definitely tough. People are kind of like, what? That's weird, They think, you're a restaurant guy, you can't do anything else. So when a few people that I knew said that, then I'm like, oh, now I'm definitely doing it. Yes. So, yeah.
But it's actually a good pull to people who see you doing, like, for example, when you broadcast and people actually see from outside the restaurant that there is something going on inside. They get curious, they stop for a while, then at least you get free, advertisement from that.
It's actually, it's been huge. Another thing was, Wednesdays were the slowest days of the restaurant week. Mm-hmm. For some reason, Tianmu Wednesday was just like a ghost town, and we were thinking, what can we do? Okay, let's wings Wednesday. Let's do something with wings, and we did. We made all these flavors of wings, and then nothing. Okay, let's do a wing special. We're like, okay, what kind of special? And we had like a mediocre-ish special. Nothing, and I'm like, let's go half price wings, just like 50% off all the wings. And then it was kind of like, it was okay. And I thought, I wonder what can we do? And I said, I've always wanted to do the podcast. At that time, we shrunk it down to one restaurant. I have some time. And I said, I'm going to take a little chunk of the restaurant. I'm going to make the podcast, and we're going to have wings. And I'm not going to be like, hey, come to our restaurant and eat wings. I'm just going to have wings. I'm going to have some lights there. People are going to come. They're going to check it out. And maybe it's going to help our Wednesday sales. And a few months, it didn't do much, but I was enjoying it. People are pretty excited and pretty happy to come and share their stories, right? Mm-hmm. So I think people feel kind of honored. That'd be like, you want me to share my story? I'm like, yeah, let's sit down. We'll have some food. We'll have a beer or a coffee, whatever you want, and you tell me your story, right? And a lot of people they're honored by that. So it makes me feel good, and it's a great story to share. And lo and behold, slowly people are starting to watch. They see the big bright lights, and they're kind of like, what's going on in there? And the rest of the street is empty because, again, Wednesday's really slow. But we got these bright lights. People come in, they're like, hey, what's going on over there? Like, oh, we got our podcast. And people are like, oh, podcast. Oh, yeah, that's a new thing, right? Oh, what's going on? Well, yeah, they eat some spicy wings and they chat, and they're just like, oh, wings. Oh, you guys have wings. Oh, okay, cool. And then they're just, they're like, well, actually, we have wings. We have vegan cauliflower wings, and they're half price today. And people would be like, how? let's go try it. Yeah, so they come in, let's try it out. Then they come in, and the wings are pretty good, right? They come in, they eat them, and they're like, oh, this place is great. Oh, what else? Let's get some dinner. Let's eat dinner. So they get wings, they eat dinner, and then we actually have different food and different beer specials every day. So when they hear that, they'll be like, oh, we're gonna come back on Monday because we love margaritas, and we got margarita special on Monday. So it really helped the business, and like I said, like on the podcast, it's really about me sharing the other person's story. I'm not going to be on there going like, hey, like whistles and a sombrero and saying, hey, come to Mexican food every Wednesday. Like, I'm not going to do that. The point is to share the story and have a good conversation. Really, that's really the point of it. Yeah.
And actually what you're doing is basically profiling a lot of the foreigners or some lives of Taiwanese in Taiwan. Like, and it's a good way for us to at least, get a flavor of what kind of people are in Taiwan. This is basically what you're doing without your knowledge, I suppose. Yeah. Because you're bringing the lives of these people, what they do and how they enjoy it. What I enjoyed the most when I was interviewed in your channel was the fact that I get to eat.
Yeah, you get to eat, right? Yeah, it's great. It's a restaurant. You can't be like, no, there's no food. It's a restaurant. Let's eat, right?
I got to eat and it was really good. I was like, okay, if I need like not authentic, really good Mexican food, I would go up to Tianmu. It's right by Sogo, is it?
It's not Sogo, it's Shinkong Mitsukoshi.
Yes.
So if other people say authentic, that's okay. Just for us to use it in marketing, like for example, Mexico is huge. Like let's say the Philippines. I mean, how many areas of the Philippines have different style of food?
Correct.
Everywhere has their own style, right? So Mexico is huge, and every area they have a different style of food. So, I mean, I love it. I think it's authentic. It's what I grew up with. And when we go to Mexico, I love the food in Mexico. I love my mom's food. That's just what we're trying to share. Mom's food, fresh food, and pretty good food, I think. So, yeah, sometimes you're going to get people that come in and they're like, wow, it's not real Mexican. You're like, is it good? If you're having a good time, then enjoy it. If not, what can I say, right? Yeah.
This is not in the questions that I sent you, but is there anything you think that the government could address as far as food business is concerned in Taiwan?
I think that the government in Taiwan is pretty solid. They're doing very well. I think that they should. I mean, I don't know how to run a government, obviously, but I think that there's a lot of people like myself. I mean, everyone's like, oh, you're doing so many great things. But actually, I know a dozen people just like me that have brought their culture, brought their food, brought some kind of business. I know like some African guys that are doing really amazing events. I know people from all over the world doing really good food in Taiwan. And there's not really a spotlight on that. I mean, everyone says, oh, Hong Kong, you can get any kind of meal, or whatever, Singapore, you can get any kind of meal. But actually in Taiwan, you can get good food, and you can get authentic, like Italian, you can get some good Mexican, you can get Indian, you can get a lot of really cool stuff, and it's not really shown anywhere. It's not showcased anywhere. And that was one of the gripes I had a little bit, because when you're new, you really need a hand. You really need a hand because you can learn the Facebook ads, but you gotta spend a little bit of money on Facebook ads, and if you're not learning them, you're not making any money. Right now, again, one of the things for the podcast was I want to shed light on stuff like that. Like there are people that are doing amazing things, and I'm also a big UFC fan, big MMA fan. So there's a lot of really people doing really cool things here as well with MMA and like UFC gym, and there's so many fighting. I don't want to forget any names. Sprouts Kids Jiu-Jitsu, Fairs Academy for their fighting arts. They're doing really cool things, but most people, when they have their business, they're so busy doing their business, they don't know how to do the marketing, or they either don't know how, or they don't have the budget, or they're not aware that they should be doing marketing. Because, I mean, actually the marketing is one of the biggest things, and it's neglected a lot. Yeah. And that's not a knock at anybody saying you don't know how to market, but I'm just saying that so many people are busy running their business that, like even me, I do my business all the time, but when I step back a little bit and I'm able to do some marketing, you can kind of see, oh my gosh, this is effective. Yeah. So that's kind of the part of the podcast, is to put some light on cool stuff. Yeah.
Let's play some game before we end this show.
Game, all right.
It's
all
not
right.
actually a game. It's just like a fast round. Basically, I ask.
Rapid fire, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, whatever comes to your mind, just tell me. Okay.
Sure.
Ready?
Yeah.
What's your daily breakfast?
My daily breakfast. So right now, that's supposed to be quick, right?
Yes, okay,
So
go.
I'm getting into the intermittent fasting. So I
Okay.
don't really eat breakfast. Yeah.
Oh.
Because I'm trying to do 12 to 8, the 12 to 8 cycle because, believe it or not, I used to be pretty thin and pretty fit. And I'm not saying that I'm super overweight, but I'd like to get back to where I was before. So I don't eat breakfast. My first meal is from 12, and I try to have my last meal before 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so sorry for that question. Yeah.
Show on Netflix.
Yeah.
What show are you currently watching on Netflix?
So as I said before, I have a daughter, right? So we watch a lot of kids stuff. But there was a show that I just watched, an American show called Last Chance University, and it was about an East LA basketball team that it's kind of like, I don't know, like an underprivileged area in LA. And I'm not even a big basketball fan, but I watched it and I got hooked on it. I love sports. So these guys, they're trying to get scholarships to go to big schools and kind of get out of, I would say, maybe, I don't want to say the ghetto, but get out of the situations. Trying to, yeah. So Last Chance University on Netflix, fantastic. I love it.
Are you a morning or night person?
So actually, I'm more of a morning person, for sure. I try to go to the gym in the morning. Again, I'm trying to get my act together, but yeah, go to the morning, gym in the morning. I take my daughter to school, and then, so I'll get up, I'll do breakfast for her, and then I'll take her to school, and then I'll walk from her school to the gym, just maybe 10-minute walk. Try to do my workout and then come back home. So morning for sure. Nighttime, sometimes I'm putting my daughter to bed and then I'm just kind of like, and then it's the next day. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, whoops, yeah.
Too tired.
Yeah.
Are you an Android or PC user?
Android, definitely. Android. My computer's PC, my phone's Android. My wife is Mac and iPhone. And I have gone through all of the phones. I would like Samsung and Sony and Nokia and kind of everybody. And right now I'm on a Chinese brand called Xiaomi, which I went through through all the research, and they have an amazing camera, and it's Android. But to be honest, the rest of it is not great. So I had an iPhone 6 a few years back. That was probably the best. So I'm thinking after this one goes, I probably will switch back, but I'm super happy with Android.
Okay.
The camera has to be good because I have a lot of, like I'm in the restaurant, people want to take pictures with you, and sometimes you need to take a quick food picture. You can't like get the tripod out and you know, you got to have a decent camera.
Correct.
So the camera is really important for me, yeah.
What's your favorite game if you play games?
Video game? Again, so right now I have my daughter, so I play a lot of video games, and she streams a game called Roblox. I love playing Roblox with my daughter. But growing up, I would play Street Fighter 2.
Favorite movie of all time?
Scarface.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay, so that's the last part of it.
Okay, good.
Let's wrap this up with
Sure.
action items.
Let's do it.
What are your plans in the future, and how could our audience or maybe
Beautiful.
us help you?
Okay, so what I'm working on right now is I am actually working on systemizing my restaurant, and I really want to expand, whether it be myself or franchise, like some kind of mini franchises where somebody can come out, buy like a franchise, not expensive. I want to make it cheap and affordable for everybody to where it can be really low investment, and the food, and we can sort of, my kitchen is big enough to be a central kitchen, so everything can come out to your stand or to your food truck or to your little restaurant, and you can sell our food there. Yeah, that's what I'm working on. It's a big project, obviously.
Do you have a price point in mind? Let's say somebody wants to mini franchise your business. If you don't have it yet,
I actually have no idea.
Okay,
because my wife is really good with numbers, and I'm like,
we'll defer it to your wife.
Yeah. So I'm very like the positive, like I can do it. Let's do it. I can fix it. I can make it happen. And so right now we're just putting the final touches on our new VIP program. We have a mug club that we're going to launch, which is you spend 4,000 NT, you get your mug, and you get 15% off beer all year. So a lot of beer drinkers that come in and they're drinking beers every day. They will have their own mug. They will own a piece of the restaurant. So that's ready.
Wow.
And I have what's the third one? The VIP club, the delivery platform thing that's there. And there's a lot on my plate. Yeah. But again, with the podcast, we're actually going to expand the podcast. I do it once a week, and I try to have one clip show. So I have 2 videos a week, but I'm trying to add maybe one more, at least once every 2 weeks. I slowly set up a little area in my house that is going to be like a Joe Rogan style podcast studio with 4 boom mics and stuff like that. So I want to have some really cool conversations with up to 3 people. Yeah, maybe 4, and I'll just kind of be on the side hiding. We'll see. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Great. We'll put all the information that...
Yeah, please do.
Oh, sorry. We'll put all the information that you mentioned about your Eddy's Cantina, your Eddy Live YouTube channel, and even your podcast in the description below. But that's the time we have for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brother. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. If you guys enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to his channel. If you give it a thumbs up, the YouTube algorithm knows that people are liking it, and they're going to share this amazing podcast with many people. I mean, I know a lot of people, like, they watch and they're like, oh, it's so good. And I'm like, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, because when you do that, YouTube will show it to more people.
Thank you for that endorsement.
Please. Yeah,
Have a good
pleasure,
night.
Yeah, thank you. Take care, man.
Thank you.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.